Hi everyone, this is Greg from BrothersInsanity.com, bringing you the first episode of a new series we're making called GNP, or Games You Never Played. Basically what we're doing is we're playing games that we've liked that maybe you haven't played or you haven't heard of, or maybe it's a game you heard of and just never got around to playing. So our first episode today, we're going to be talking about a game called Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. Now this game came out on the Nintendo DS in 2009, and then a few years later on Xbox Live and PSN. PSN is where I first bought my copy and I first tried out the game. I think the first thing I noticed about this game, or what really stood out to me, were the graphics, and I really enjoy the art style. It's hand-drawn and animated as opposed to 3D and 3D character models. The DS, much like the PlayStation 1, not quite as bad, but much like the PlayStation 1, early 3D didn't look really good. And I think that the DS unfortunately suffers from that, and I like seeing this hand-drawn art style that's timeless and will never go out. Now, one of my favorite games of all time is Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Ash and I actually still play that to this day, and we'll be putting up a play video sometime soon for you guys as well. So one of the things I noticed right away was that since this takes place in the Might and Magic universe, there's a lot of parallels between the two games. The biggest thing you notice right away are the classes, and in Clash of Heroes you have 5 different classes. You can be the Undead, the Chaos, the Elves, the Knights, or the Mystics. The Mystics being the genies and djinns sort of classes. So you have a nice variety of what you can play, or what your play style is, what you like to play. There's just kind of something for everyone, I guess you would say. Now, one thing in this game, and like all games they try to do, is that you want to have it easy to start and difficult to master, and this game really hits it on the head. When you start playing this, basically your units are on a grid-based battlefield, and you've got just basically standby units, and you have to activate those units for combat. So certain units will say if you stack 3 of the same color behind each other of the same unit, then that will become an attackable playable unit, much like tapping or activating the creature so you can tap and attack, otherwise just kind of dead weight in your hand. So it just kind of sits on the playing field. There's also bigger creatures that maybe take up 4 spots and require 4 more creatures to activate that. So it also draws some interesting parallels to Magic the Gathering, in the sense that you're not really fighting the units on the battlefield per se, you're fighting the other player. So you need to get through his units so that you can get to him and get to the line behind the units, and that's how you do damage to the player who you're actually playing against. Another parallel it draws to Magic is kind of the high-risk, high-reward playstyle. You know, do you want to stack your deck with a bunch of smaller units and do a lot of little chip damage, or do you want to go for that big unit, the kind of high-risk, high-reward? Do you want to bring out that tree giant who, if you get him out, he's unstoppable, but if you can get him out? Another interesting thing about this game is that they also included boss fights, and a lot of the times in these puzzle games, just playing the person you're playing is the boss fight. You really don't have any sort of different scenarios or different ways of playing the game, and Clash of Heroes threw in boss fights where you would have very unique circumstances for winning. So for instance, you've got an enemy who actually moves around the battlefield, or perhaps you've got an enemy who has, maybe his hands are out in a different line and you have to attack the orbs so they don't attack you back. One scenario, not really a boss fight, but one scenario actually had, you had to open a gate, so you had to get through the enemies and attack the 2 sides of the door so you could lower the chain for the gate. Just another unique way to change up the gameplay from just the same old, way of playing. Also, during the campaign mode, there's a challenge mode or a scenario mode in which you'll talk to a certain character on the map, and they'll basically give you challenges. Again, another parallel to Magic the Gathering there. And they'll say, you have 2 or 3 turns, or in 1 turn you have to defeat all of these enemies and win. And so it's a really unique way of trying to find out how you would merge creatures. So it works as a tutorial and kind of teaching you, okay, a different way to look at the board, like addition through subtraction, where you'll maybe delete a unit, and deleting a unit actually made you merge 3 units and regenerating your turns for that turn. My only complaint about that is that unfortunately it's built in story mode. So instead of just being able to go into a menu and say, I want to do these challenges, you're required to go into the story mode and do them. And once you've done them, you can't go back and do them again. In fact, when I went back to do this review, I went back to get some footage of boss fights and things, and I actually would have had to start the game over and play all the way through it if I wanted to get back to some of those boss battles. So if there was really one frustration I had with the game, that's really it. But I've played the game about 3 times anyway, so it really wasn't any more of a hassle to go back and play it again. So in conclusion, Clash of Heroes Might and Magic is an awesome game. It's a great puzzle strategy game. It sets a solid tone for strategy and depth, and it's just a lot of fun. Highly recommend you go play it. It's currently out on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and of course on Nintendo DS. Highly recommended. It's like 1,200 Microsoft points on Xbox Live, 15 bucks on PSN and Steam. I picked up a used copy on DS the other day for just $9.99 complete, so it's just a great deal. And as always, we appreciate you guys watching. If you can, subscribe to our channel if you want updates on more videos. Also, we've got links to our Twitter page and to Facebook. And of course, brothersinsanity.com for new content updated almost daily. So thank you very much for watching.